Okay, I've got my side seam sewed. I sewed it all the way up, I zigzagged it, and I cut off that edge, so this is what my seam looks like. I turned under my top a 1/4 inch, then another 1/4 inch, and I put a top stitch on it, so that will be the top of my dress. On the bottom, I trimmed off my excess fish line, and I cut off that excess fabric and matched up my fish line to fish line here. Now, to keep this from going like this on the bottom, I'm going to take it, open it up, cross those fish lines over each other, and I'm going to do a little zigzag here that's barely noticeable so that it will hold my fish line seams not only together but also in the open position. So I'm going to put that under my machine and do that now. Yeah, just do a couple of them so it's not too noticeable, but it will hold them open and together. Okay, so now I'm going to put a waistline in this, and I like to work with my on the waistline because I'm going to be putting this in here. So I like my waistline to be a little on the umpire side, up higher instead of down low, but you know, it's my preference. So you just need to get your doll out and decide where you want to put your doll's waistline, but I prefer having it a high waistline. So I'm going to go down. This is probably from top to the waistline is probably 245, 2 inches and 45. I'm sorry, 275. I'm sorry, 2 3/4 inch from the first line of sewing towards the hem. If you were doing it in centimeters, I would probably go a little over 7 centimeters down from the top to the first line of sewing for the waistband. So I said 2 3/4, so let me put my elastic thread back in the machine since I forgot to, and I'm going to use my I'm going to use a wide stitch. I'm not going to go all the way to the top. I'm going to go, instead of a 5.0, I'm going to do a 4.0. I'm going to put my needle position in the middle, and I'm going to put my elastic thread in. And I wound this thread as tight as it could get, as tight as I could get it. And it still takes me a couple times to get it wound, and it still takes me a while to get it wound correctly in the machine. So let me try it again. Is that correct? Yes. Okay, it is in correctly. And I just lost it. Oh boy, trials and tribulations. Of course I'm doing this because I'm filming. Last night I didn't have any trouble at all with it. And as soon as I start trying to film, it starts playing games on me. Alright, it is in there finally. Okay, because I want my first waistline to be 2 3/4. What I do is I take some masking tape and I mark my my 2 3/4, and then I'm going to put a line of masking tape on my 1, 2 3/4. So, because I won't have any line to follow, so by using masking tape, I have a sewing edge that I can line up. You only need to do it for the first one, because then you can just follow that. You can follow the. Put it this way. Okay, close enough. Okay, so actually, I'm a little off. I didn't take off that little. I like a high waistband, so. 2 3/4. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just change my needle position so I can get that 2 3/4. Okay, good enough. Alright, so my first seam is going to be starting where my seam is. Since I used one continuous seam of fabric, one piece of fabric, I only have this one seam to get through, and this is where this will be the back of my dress, and I'll do all my tying and my knotting from this. So I'm going to put my dress in, and I'm going to bring it all the way up to my bias, my masking tape, right there. Put my machine down and have my first stitch as close to that line as possible. Okay, so I'm just going to sew. So, okay, I'm ready to go. Okay, so I'm keeping this top of my dress lined up with this piece of masking tape. So I'm just glancing over here once in a while, but most of my focus is right here, up here, keeping this straight. Another method could be to actually have your fabric, when it's flat, you can put your masking tape directly on top of your fabric and sew next to the piece of masking tape, and then just peel it off, and you have the perfect line that way too. If you've ever seen those they're t-shirts, and they take this elastic thread and they put a waistband in a t-shirt and turn it into a dress. It's that method. You can just use your masking tape and measure from the bottom of the t-shirt up to the waistline, put masking tape across the t-shirt, and then you'll have your sewing line very, very simply by using that method. Okay, I'm almost done here. Okay, so I'm almost done, and I'm going to try and get my last stitch right up next to the original one that I just put in. Okay, so now that I've done that, I've gone all the way around one time, and I've got my waistline set up. I want to give myself a long tail because I don't want my fabric, I don't want my when I play with my gathers, I don't want my threads to disappear, and I don't have enough tying room. So I'm going to get some more of this elastic thread out of the bottom, and I'm going to give myself a good, I don't know, 5-6 inches. I know it's wasteful, but it's better to be on the wasteful side than to lose your thread and have to do it all over again. So there we go. So that'll give me enough of a tail on both sides to sew in. And I'm not going to, you don't tighten anything until you have all your sewing completely done, because you don't want to put any of your sewing on any kind of a ruffle. You want a flat surface for all of your sewing lines. Okay, so now what I have to do at this point is decide how many ruffles I want in the middle. Do I want 2? I have 3 here. Do I want more than that, less than that? It's up to you. You have to decide how big of a waistband you want. I like this 3 look, so that's what I would prefer. If I was going to do the whole thing, I could just start from the bottom, but I want this little puff in the middle for a bodice on this on these dresses. So I'm going to go ahead and now that I've got that first seam in, now I can decide how much space I want between my 2 lines of stitching, and I'm just going to change my needle position, and I'm going to use this line as my sewing guide. So this will be, I'm going to take my fabric on, since this was my one closest to the bottom, I'm going to sew my next one just like this, going on the top. So my stitching, I'm going to be following my this stitch line is going to, I'm going to line that up with the left side of my pressure foot and use that as my guide to sew the next 2 seams. Well, the next one, and then I'll use that again. But now my decision is to decide how much space I need between these. And this one, I think I put about 5 millimeters or a little less than about 3/16, a little less than 1/4 of an inch, so probably 3/16 as what I used. So just make sure you write down your needle position, so because you don't want to have wider lines of sewing. You want them uniform between each one. Otherwise, it's going to look really silly when you open this up, and you might have 1 inch and then a 1/2 inch, and so you want to keep them uniform. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish up the top and the bottom on this, and then I'm going to put on some sleeves. So I'll be back later. Hi there. I was working on the rest of this doll tonight, and I didn't like the way the hem turned out in the microwave, so I tried to fix it manually with my heat gun, and I messed it up even more. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut this hem off and put a different hem on this dress altogether. I just don't like it. I don't like it. I tried to straighten it out and recurl it with my heat gun, and it just turned into a mess. So I'm just going to cut this entire hem off and try a different hem. But anyway, I was playing around with the heat gun, and I found out that you can curl your fish line the same way you curl your ribbons on the knitting needles, but you can use your wooden dowels the same way. And the nice thing about this is that you can, depending on how much heat you put on this, you can adjust the microwave. You really don't have that much control over it, but on your heat gun you do. So it's basically the same thing. I could put this back on and reheat it and get a tighter curl. So I'm just going to line that line back up. easier said than done. Okay, put another piece of tape on it. That didn't work either. Not very nice. Wrap it all the way around so it catches. You can just line your coil back up and heat it. You don't want to, it doesn't take long, but you want to make sure that you don't, because this thing gets really, really hot. You don't want your line to bubble. You just want it hot enough so that it will maintain a, because when you put this in the microwave, this piece of wood gets so hot you can barely touch it. So you can do the same thing with this. You just have to make sure you don't heat it so hot that the nylon in the fishing line will start to bubble. Because once it starts to bubble, it's over. You can't use it. Okay. Yep, we're just going to let that cool. And we'll undo it and see how well it curled this time. This was my second curl, so I assume it'll work just like the microwave makes it work by double heating it twice. But this is a lot safer than sticking it in the microwave. Not only can you see it while it's getting hot, but you can tell whether or not it's bubbling, and you can adjust it. You can stop it and you won't have any problem with fires in your microwave or anything like that. So, anyway, that's good to know. Alright, I'll do this now, so it's still warm, but since I'm going to just not keep you waiting. But it's just the way so you know that it does work. Okay, it was a little bit, I could have gone a little hotter because it's a little bit, I know you can't see white on white, but it's a little bit, if I would have kept it, getting it hotter, I would have got a firmer curl. But anyway, at least now you know you don't have to use the microwave if you don't want to, and you can make your curls using your heated tool or your heat gun. Okay, I'll talk to you later.